What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens episode review. Today, guys, we are going to be going over episode 40 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, the beginning of the fourth arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. I can't believe that we're actually into 4 arcs already, and I'm very excited to be talking about this episode with you guys. So, without further ado, let's not waste any more time, and let's get right into it. So, what did I think about this episode? I did like it. I will say that much. Very interesting episode to start off an arc. And yeah, so let's get into it. So the episode starts off, we're at Goha Corporations, and they're trying to find a way to actually promote Goha dueling. You know, with Rush Duels being this big thing and all the kids loving it, they are kind of in a situation right now where they need to get the old dueling style out there. And they really need to do this as fast as they can, because obviously with Rush Duel's popularity growing exponentially, they really need to find a way of how they can go back to the old format. So one of the members, which funny enough, I really thought that this was like the new Top of Hexagon members, but they did mention the Top of Hexagon members, so these are just some randos that normally appear, I guess, in Goha Corporations. They decide to get Princess G, part of Goha Music, to actually sing the Goha duel song. That way they can promote their Goha dueling style, because if they get this famous singer and they are actually promoting it, it might get people to draw into it. So they got one of the most popular ones, Princess G, and Princess G basically declines them, says she doesn't want to sing, she's not really a singer, she's more of a guitarist. And she even walks off of that because she gets into the room and then starts talking about, like, why don't we just let Rush Duels go? Just let them be, like, she basically told him, like, okay, why don't we just let the kids just play with Rush Duels? Like, what's the problem with it? They get all, like, bazzled about it. In fact, she even says that she likes Rush Dueling. She thinks this is a good idea. And immediately out of left field, you have one of the members says, "You're fired. You get out right now." And she happily takes it. She walks out the door. She gets on her motorcycle and she just books it out of there. Like, she just leaves. She doesn't really care. Like, she thinks that this is wrong what they're doing of, like, trying to, like, outshadow Rush Duel. She's more encouraging of it, and these guys obviously don't want to do it, so she was willing to give up her job for that case. So that's what she ends up doing. She realized that she was going to get fired when she went up there and said something like that, and that's what ends up happening. And that's where you even get to the meat of this episode, where they get back to the school, which I want to say this, is no one at that school is, like, the whole school in trouble. It was like no one there if Yuga and the crew is not there, because they literally get back to the school and the whole thing looks like it hasn't been touched in like 50 years or something like that. You see, like, plants growing out of the walls, like you see, like, these vines everywhere. Like, what in the world happened when they were gone? Like, I don't understand. Like, that's not it. Which this show, like, does some very weird things, and I know this is just like a Mesquite thing, but come on, like, you cannot tell me that's even remotely possible. Like, is there no adults, like, cleaning the school? Or is there, like, how does kids not notice that? Like, what in the actual heck just happened? Like, I do not understand what in the world happened in that. And I know that's not really important, but still, like, that doesn't make any sense in any logic sense. But as they're cleaning up the room with all the vines and stuff, Roman goes on her phone and realizes that Princess She is retired because of the fact that she just got fired. I don't think it said that she got fired. They just said that she was retiring because of Rush Duel. And this, like, angers Roman, as she blames Rush Duels because of the fact that now her idol can't do anything anymore because she was supporting Rush Duels. She gets mad, she ends up walking out of the room, she ends up bumping into this girl, which assumedly is the new teacher of the school. She ends up bumping into her, and we just realize how much of a klutz this girl is when she was, like, just when she got to the class and she was introducing herself, she just collapses. Like, she cannot stay up to save her life. She even tries to do the sports outside with the kids. She can't stay up to save her life. Like, she is like a real klutz. And, they're outside, they're just hanging out. And I want to say this, though. This is the Rook that I've wanted back in the series for a while. I don't know what it was that last arc of what in the world he was on, but this was the Rook that I wanted. This is the Rook I wanted. As Rook comes out and says, hey, that's Princess G. Like, sure, it might not look like it, but she's Princess G. And they thought they were crazy. He thought, Yuga and Rook, Gakuto, excuse me, thought he was out of his mind that wasn't Princess G. I mean, it looked nothing like it. In fact, it looked like a Carly ripoff, if we're going to be completely honest. But they didn't believe him at all. And funny enough, he is right. We do learn later on that is Princess G, which literally, she just took a whole fashion change. Like, I guess she just wears a wig when she performs. I thought that was her natural hair color, but I guess not. And also, she wears glasses. Probably that's why she can see. Like, if you wear glasses sometimes and you're not have a prescription for it, then you're not going to really see. Trust me, I've tried it before when I was young, and it was pretty stupid. I would never recommend it. But Roman is just out on the steps as well. She's just looking at her deck, just kind of reflecting on the whole situation, and she tells him that I'm gonna quit Rush Duels. Surprises Gakuto and the crew, and like Gakuto tries to convince her that you don't have to do this. Like, there's no reason that you need to do this, but she talks about like just to advance her career, she needs to quit Rush Duels, because look what happened now. Her idol she had to retire because she liked Rush Duels. She admired Rush Duels. She wanted Rush Duels to stay, and look what happened to her. So Roman is now in that situation where she was probably going to have to do the same thing as well, and in that case, she decides to quit Rush Duels because it was going to be the best benefit for her. But she ends up knocking into her again. She spills her entire deck. She picks up the cards and she kind of reflects on it again, gets back up after she says something to her, and she decides that, hey, Yuga, I want you to be my last opponent for my final duel. And Yuga accepts this, and this is where we get into the duel between Yuga and Roman. That is how the whole thing's set up, as the girl ended up leaving. She actually meets up with Mimi, and this is where you start to realize more that, oh shoot, this is actually Princess G because of the way she was talking to Mimi. So now we get into the main focus of this duel, which is the Yuga versus Roman duel. And what to say about this? Oh boy, it's weird. Okay, let me just go. The duel was shocking. I'm just gonna say that. I really did not think Roman was going to win this duel. I'm really surprised about that. What is very surprising about this as well is not only did Roman get some things out of this, like she was able to set a presence this episode, but Yuga has as well, and I'm going to get into that right now. So Roman in this episode has become the second main female girl to beat our protagonist. The only other character that has ever done that was Yuzu from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 when she beat Yuya in episode 2 of Arc 5. So now she has become the second one to do that. But also, she has become the fourth character to just beat a protagonist at all. You had Asana in the last arc that beat Yuga, and then you had Yuzu, like I just mentioned, and then you had Rebecca Hawkins when she beat Yugi back in Duel Monsters. So she set a pretty good presence for girls now, because now she's become the fourth girl to just beat a protagonist, which is a very big deal. I mean, that just says a lot of how many girls have beaten Yu-Gi-Oh! Main characters, because the fact that only 4 has done it, that is insane. But Yuga also set records as well. Not as in the line as Roman, but it is worth mentioning. So, what did Yuga accomplish in this episode? Well, Yuga became the first protagonist to ever lose 4 duels in the first 40 episodes of the series. And to make it a little bit more interesting about this, he has dueled 16 times in this. No other protagonist either has lost 4 duels on screen. I should be a little bit more specific, because some people are going to talk about back stories and stuff like that where we see in the past that they lose. I don't count those in this scenario. Yuga has lost 4 duels in the last 16 duels. No other protagonist in their 16 duels has lost 4 duels. I'm not even kidding. I really thought that there was one protagonist that lost 4 duels in at least their 16 duels, but none. The most that there was Yuma and Yugi, actually, who lost 3 duels. Yuma lost to Shark, Roku, and I believe it was Bronk, but that was when he was possessed by number 96. I believe those were the 3 losses, and then for Yugi, it was against Pegasus, it was against Kaiba, and it was against Rebecca, like I mentioned earlier. So that's very interesting as well, and that honestly surprised me. I really thought Yuma had the most, but no, Yuga became the first protagonist to have the most amount of losses, not only in 40 episodes, but in just 16 duels of the main protagonist's duels. Like, I think Yusei had none and Yusaku had none, but they never lost in the series on screen. And then you had Judai, which I think only lost 2 duels, which was against Kaiba Man, and it was against Zane was the other one that he lost against, because the Astro one didn't come until like episode 60, I believe, so that one you don't really count because he already had 16 duels. In fact, I actually went through the Yu-Gi-Oh!pedia just to see how many duels and kind of get up to that 16 marker. In fact, GX and Zexal has beat Yuga in the amount of duels, as they had over 20 duels in their belt, but Yuga only had 16. I think the only ones that, well, Yusei was equal, actually. Well, his extended up to 41, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. Yugi only had 12 duels in the first 40. Yuya had 14, and then Yusaku had 10, which actually shocked me, because I thought Yusaku had at least 14 in the first, like, season, because the first 40 episodes of the series is basically season 1. I think it's before the 4th Revolver duel, and I thought he dueled at least 14 times, but no, he only dueled 10 times, which really shocked me, but it doesn't really matter. It didn't change the outcome of anything, so that is just something I noticed. And also, and someone could quote me on this one, this is something I just thought about, but I think this is also the first time that a protagonist has lost a duel in the beginning arc. Like, we had, like, times before where a protagonist ends up in a no result, like when Yuya, Selena, Silvio, and them faced against the cops, they ended up having no result because Crow ended up coming in and saving them. Sector Security, sorry, I for some reason couldn't remember the name. And then Yugi versus Bandit Keith, that ended in a no result, but a no result is not a loss. And I think Yuga is the first one to have a loss, because Yuma doesn't have one. The one that I mentioned with Yugi, that was a no result. There was no other time. GX didn't have one. 5Ds didn't have one. Unless it's like a mini arc and I'm not really thinking about it, but let me know if I'm correct on that one, because that might be a bold statement that I made, but I'm almost 98% sure that there was a duel at the beginning of an arc where there was no character that lost other than Yuga. So, yeah, not really setting good records on Yuga, I will say that much. And honestly, I'm a little bit mixed on this duel, because although I think the dueling action was good, I really did enjoy that. Again, a shocking result for me. Some people might not think it is. Some people will argue the Roman Sushiko, which I will argue that one as well. Like, that one's a very close one. Maybe that one's a little bit more shocking, the Sushiko one, but for me, this one was a little bit more shocking. I think the thing that makes it more shocking was I didn't think Yuga was going to lose, because he just got back from a win, and you're going to make him lose. And I'm just going to say this was at nowhere. Because here's the thing, though. Roman lost to Sushiko the last duel that she participated in, and Sushiko didn't duel once in this entire arc. So you're going to tell me she's going to lose to this character that has never dueled, and then out of nowhere beats the protagonist the next time. And I know what you might say for people that are more into the rush duel, well, her cards are a lot more stronger. It doesn't matter. Think about Vrains, Gokis, Trickstars, meta-tier decks back in the day. And they still ended up losing the Playmaker, which used a mediocre Cybers deck. Like, the only really good card that he used in that Cybers deck was Backup Secretary, but that was because it was a special summon. Like, there really was no, like, reason you would think Yusaka would win because he has the weaker deck against these meta decks and these, like, top-tier duelists, but he still ends up winning. It doesn't matter if the deck is strong. It more matters on what the plot thinks is better. And I don't think in this scenario it should be, or at least for me personally, I don't think it should have been Roman versus Yuga. I didn't mention this back in the summary preview analysis that I did. I was kind of hoping it was Roman versus Princess G would be the duel instead of Roman versus Yuga. Obviously, that didn't end up happening. That would have been my preferred duel, because the problem that I have with it is that, I will say this, and I have seen different platforms, Twitter and YouTube actually, that have said a lot of things about Yuga. In fact, some people are already stating that Yuga has now been the worst protagonist. Now, I will say, though, in the amount of losses he had, yes. However, I don't think he's the worst protagonist. I don't think you can judge that off of the 4 losses that he has. I don't think that's a fair judgment from all the other stuff that he's been doing. I think he's been a great protagonist so far, but my issue comes from the fact that although, yes, he's lost 4 duels, 3 of those losses have been in the last 20 episodes of this series. Like, split it right now real quick. Split this last 40 episodes from episodes 1 through 20 and 21 through 40. In the first 20 episodes in the series, Yuga had 10 duels, which is a lot. There is a lot of dueling action there. He only lost once, and won his other 9, the loss being to Rook. But when we get into the second half of this, for some reason, the whole thing shifts. Like, you could go from, like, Yuga that has won 9 out of his 10 duels, which is a 90% win ratio, which is really good, to a mere 50%. He's only won 3 duels in the last 20 episodes and has lost 3. He has had a 50% record for the longest time now. Like, he literally just got out of it from this duel that he participated in, and now he lost again. But another issue that I have with it is, I'm going to make a bold statement right now, and you guys can tell me if you agree with this or not, but I do believe if Yuga does not duel in the next like 5 episodes until episode 45, 2 things are going to happen. He either is not going to face the main antagonist until the end of the arc, or he will face the main antagonist, but he will get another loss, which will be his second loss in a row, which has I bet a protagonist is at least doing it. There has to be a chance with Yuma. I mean, in flashbacks, I guess, but again, I don't count flashbacks in this scenario, so will this be the first time that a protagonist had 2 losses? No, there's no way. There can't be, but would you really give your protagonist 2 losses in a row? Like, unless he duels in episode 44, 43, or something like that, or heck, in the next couple episodes, there is no way you're going to tell me that Yuga is not going to win the next duel. I'm hoping if he does face the main antagonist as a draw, not only would it be different, but it wouldn't give him another loss. I don't think he needs another loss, because if we looked at the last past arcs, this was actually the shortest amount of duels he's had in this last arc. He only had 3 duels. So are they going to do 3 duels again, or are they going to give him 4? Which I really do hope they give them 4. That way you can even give him a win outside of something, because this was his chance to get a win outside of beating the main antagonist, but they decided to give Roman a win, which I think Roman did need a win. I think all of us can agree on that, but I think a different opponent besides Yuga would have been better because of the fact that Yuga just got out of winning against Asana, the main antagonist of the last arc. And what that basically also tells me as well is that Roman can beat all 3 of the main antagonists, as Yuga has beaten Roa, Neil, and Asana, and that's hard to believe. I don't believe that one bit. Like, I have not given any reason to really believe that, but this episode basically proved it. Like, it really did. Also, another weird thing, too, that I just realized is that this is the first time Yuga has actually lost without Sevens Road Magician. He used Sevens Road Magician in all 3 of his duels that he lost, so that was actually kind of an interesting as well, to say the least. But I will say this though, although I do have some issues with it, I still think the duel is good. In fact, I think it's going to be a pretty highly rated duel for me. I really did enjoy the duel. Again, shocking results are going to get me. I really think that this was not really that predictable. I really thought Yuga was going to win this duel to kind of build him back up a little bit, because he has not gotten more than 3 wins. Like, think about it. The most he has gotten in the last 20 episodes was 2 wins. When he beat Neil and then Tiger, but then ends up losing to Asana. Then beats Asana and then loses to Roman. Like, he can't seem to get a streak going. Like, that's very weird. And maybe it's just because I'm not used to a protagonist losing that many times in that amount of time, which, to be fair, with shorter arcs, it's easier to happen, so I understand that much. But I kind of want Yuga to stop losing as much, or at least right now, because I think what we had at the beginning, I thought was perfectly acceptable. Maybe you can do it a little bit shorter. I would completely understand it from that perspective. Like, maybe 9 or like 8 duels in between might be a little bit too much, but like at least 3 or 4, I think, would be a very good amount still before a loss, especially how short these arcs are. But it looks like there's going to be a chance that it's just going to be like every other episode, it's just going to be a Yuga win and then a Yuga loss. Like, it's going to go like this back and forth thing, which I don't really think that's good for a protagonist, but that's just me personally, in my opinion. Now, I don't think a protagonist should be very, very strong. Like, one of my issues with Yusei and Yusaku was that they were undefeated. Like, there's no arguing that they were very strong duelists. They were basically untouchable throughout the series. But I don't like when protagonists lose much either, because what are you really growing from that? Like, sure, you can still grow your protagonist from a loss. Like, that's the big way to do it. But you have to grow in between it as well. And one of my biggest issues from the last arc was Yuga didn't get a duel in between the Asana duels, but he ended up pulling out a win out of nowhere. Sure, he has a maximum card, which is another thing I've realized, is that unless Yuga is able to get lucky or he has a maximum, he can't win a duel. This is what this series has told me in the last 20 episodes. Because think of all of the duels that he's had, the last 6 duels. Let's go over them real quick. The Neil one, the first Neil duel, he lost because he was overpowered with maximum. The second time he faces him and beats him, he uses a maximum monster. The third time, when he faces Tiger, he gets extremely lucky because Tiger was not able to draw a monster card to use one of her monster's effects to eliminate Yuga. Asana overpowers him with a maximum monster. Now he goes to Yuga and them again, is able to beat her with a different monster, but needed to deal with the maximum first, which he used his own maximum to do it. So for the last 6 duels, it's either had to been extreme luck or just by the maximum alone. And although I don't mind it as much, I want something different. I don't like the fact that Yuga has been relying on this much luck. Now, we've had characters that had it. One of the most well-known ones is Joey. Joey was just all for luck. But the thing is maybe it's because I look a little bit too much into Yuga, but Yuga's a very smart protagonist. We know this. You would think for a smart protagonist, he would be more on the strategy game and not more of the take a chance guy. Or maybe that's what I see, but I don't know. That's just really what I think about it. I want to know your guys' thoughts on the duel. Now, I will say this. I thought the duel was still great. I really did enjoy the duel a lot, but I feel like in terms of like an overall like sense for the entire series, I just don't think it really makes that much sense. But obviously that's me. After Roman wins the duel, we even got to see Candy, not Canredi, which is a monster I thought she'd use, but it was the smaller version of is the one that she used in this episode. But she ends up using Candy, which Princess G actually slipped in her deck, and she's able to win with that card. After she wins, she runs back into school because she heard the piano playing when the duel was going on. That's where she kind of went into her whole turn. And also another thing that made me like this duel, and you guys, or if you guys have been on this channel for a while, you know this has been something I've wanted for a while. Roman didn't use her mode. That is what makes me like this duel. Like, all the stuff that I said before is little minor stuff that I just noticed. It doesn't have that big effect on the duel. The only big effect it would have been on this duel is if she used the mode, and she didn't. Finally, thank you, Bridge. That is all I have to say is thank you. This is what I've been wanting to see from Roman in the last 30 episodes of this series. heck, even more than 30 episodes. I would say like it's been now like 37 episodes since she's done a duel without the mode. Like, this is something I've been wanting for a very long time. So thank you, Bridge. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is really something that I wanted to see. And this is the Roman that I wanted to see dueling. This is really what I wanted to see, and Bridge was able to pull that off, and I do appreciate that. And we'll say this, out of the last 3 ones that we had at the beginning, or out of the last 4, excuse me, this was definitely my favorite episode out of the other ones. Like, the Roman Kitchen episode, I was on it. I mean, I was more focused on the stuff outside of Roman's Kitchen. The Rook episode was weird. The first episode was just like, it was there. It was a tutorial episode. And in this episode, I just liked, although I do kind of have some minor things with Yuga, it didn't really affect the episode at all. I really did enjoy this. I did enjoy the duel, and I'm finally glad that Roman has now stopped using this mode. And just please do this for the rest of the series. Just please. It sounds like they're going to go that route, but I'm still going to be optimistic about it because, you know, the whole Berserk mode thing came out of nowhere, so maybe it will return again. I really hope it doesn't, but we'll have to wait and see. But guys, that is going to be it for this. Oh, wait, before I end it off, let me actually continue back. Sorry. I think that's the first time I've done that, actually. But Roman, she goes into the room and she realizes the piano's not there. She scares us for a second saying, "I quit," but she says that she quits on not wanting to continue rush duels. She decides that she wants to keep on rush dueling. She was able to understand what that girl was saying. She was able to understand what was like the right thing to do and to keep following her dream. So that was really good. I really did like that as well. But now it's going to be the end for this episode review. So now we can actually go in the intro. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on this episode was. Did you like this episode? Were you in the middle of this episode? Or did you not like this episode? And let me know what you guys thought of the duel. Did you guys think it was as shocking as I thought it was? Or did you think this was pretty predictable? And let me know what you guys' thoughts are on Yuga. Now, I will say this. I still enjoy Yuga. I don't think he is in trouble at all with 4 losses because it's literally just 1 loss ahead. It's not really that big of a deal. But let me know what you guys' thoughts. Do you have some concerns for Yuga? Do you think he is going to lose the next duel that he has? Or do you think he'll be able to get another duel? Which, I didn't even mention that as well. Even if he gets another duel in, it's just going to be the same thing like I was talking earlier, where the back and forth thing. So that's another thing to consider as well, while given that you guys' thoughts on the whole Yuga situation. And yeah, that's going to be it. And also let me know what you guys think of Roman not using the mode. Like, this is something I've been wanting for a while, and they finally brought it to me. So I want to know what you guys' thoughts on that as well. But guys, that is going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.